Hey everybody, welcome to the Live Nation Hampton Water Happy Hour. I'm Tom C. with Live Nation, and we're so glad you've joined us for a really cool experience. John and Jesse Bongjovi are hanging out with us to talk about food, wine, family, and giving back to others. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready for an awesome happy hour. Hey John and Jesse, welcome to the Hampton Water Happy Hour, man. So glad you could join us. How are things going out there?
Excited, ready to go.
Awesome, awesome. Well, listen, I'll raise a glass, so cheers to the happy hour. You know, we'll kick it started.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. So listen, growing up in the 80s in Jersey, obviously listening to Bongjovi, I never would imagine we'd be here in 2020 in a virtual happy hour talking about your wine. Like, how did that all become Hampton Water?
Yeah, I mean, it really just sort of came from, I think, where all great ideas come from, which was really just a late night out in the Hamptons. You know, me and my family have been coming out here forever. My dad has always been a big rosé drinker. You know, it was really the drink of choice around the house. And so essentially the running joke out there was that people drink more rosé than they drink water. And me and my buddies fell into that stereotype very quickly. And one late night, my dad offers me a glass of pink juice, which is what he used to call that stuff. And we started kind of giving him a hard time, and we said, no, listen, you're in the Hamptons, you're not drinking pink juice anymore, you're drinking Hampton water. And from there, the idea was born. We all started kind of joking and talking about it. And then the next day, we wouldn't leave him alone. And he said, look, if you guys are serious, go figure it out.
Business plan. And John, you're a CEO, man. I mean, you got your son pitching you on like Shark Tank, it feels like, to say, hey, and what was that meeting like? Because now you're talking about being business partners and family members. That's a big deal.
Well, you know, from a good idea, you have to then back it up, or else it's just a hangover. You wake up in the morning, you have to get to work. And Jesse and Ali used those business degrees out at Notre Dame to come back with Hampton Water, the rosé. And I liked it enough to get involved and to make some calls on Jesse's behalf and assisted just in the first couple of meetings for the introduction. But we weren't out of airspace yet, where we were leaving down in Miami, and the biggest distributor in the nation said, we're in. Wow. And then when we spoke to the vintner that we ultimately have worked with, Gerard Bertrand, he too said, I love the idea. If I like the guys as much as I love the idea, I'm in. And so then, you know, we loved the juice that he made, and we thought it would be a great partnership. So we brought him in to provide us with the juice. And from there, a business plan was born. So we staffed up, and it's been 3 years.
That's amazing. Now when you were touring and traveling around the world, the both of you, did you visit wineries? Did you get to know their winemakers, or was Gerard it? You were all in there.
Well, we had met with a couple of different guys. And to be perfectly frank with you, one weekend we had a bit of a market test and went and just started trying a bunch of different stuff. You know, we knew what we liked, you know, having had other brands who I won't name names, but we knew kind of the style that we wanted. We know we wanted that Provence style, that light pink, you know, that fruitiness, the more dry than sweet. And so that was really my education, was just trying lots of different rosés and really kind of getting a knowledge of what people liked, you know, what was selling well, what people kind of looked for.
And what we liked,
right?
You know, which eliminated certain areas or countries. You know, so what we were looking for was ultimately very specific.
And you guys are hands-on, man. I you know, in doing my research, you're doing the mixing, the blending with Gerard. You're at harvest. Talk about that. Like, that's not just slapping your name on a brand and saying, go ahead and sell it. You're all in.
This isn't a celebrity wine, it's a family business. And that was our commitment from day one. So whether it was with your distributor to take a shot on you, or a vintner who is, you know, he's a partner, it's not his wine, it's our wine. And for him to give up, you know, all he did to be in business with us, it took our commitment.
Yeah.
So we bring something very unique to the business and shine a light on the rosé category when the growth opportunity is still in front of us. This isn't a wave that we caught late. We were there 3 years ago, and I wish that we'd been there 7 years ago. Yeah. But at least, you know, we got in early. So whether you're in the middle of the country and rosé has yet to catch on, we're well established as a 3-year, the most celebrated rosé brand out there. 90s, 91 ratings, in both of the big publications. So with all that behind us now, we're able to lead the charge instead of chasing it.
That's right. I mean, now, where were you in 2018 when Wine Spectator says you're the best rosé on the planet? I mean, come on, like, what affirmation so early on is that like?
It was pretty unbelievable. When we first got Hampton Water into the United States, and literally me and Ali were going restaurant to restaurant, liquor store to liquor store, getting on planes, going all over the East Coast, just trying to get the word out, getting people excited about it. A lot of people kind of looked at us and said, what do you two know about rosé? What do we know about making wine? And we had to tell them, obviously, the story, like you said, about going over there and making the blend and how hands-on we were. And people initially were kind of taking a chance on it. They would say, I don't know if I want to taste it, things like that. And then to get a 90-point rating in our first year, then we kind of got to say, you got a 90 point, like this stuff is, we knew it was good. And now other people are saying how good it is. And then December of that year to be rated in the top 100 on Wine Spectator, we were the first rosé in 20 some years to make that list. I think really set us apart from the pack, and like you said, to have that highest point rating and then to actually be on that top 100 list, the top 100 wines in the world. Yeah. To make it on that list and to not be number 99. I always joke. We weren't the last one, we beat some people out. So
that's some pretty quick street cred for you, man. Right. And you want to be an everyday drinker, which to be on that list is totally awesome and
sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Congrats. And listen, let's talk about August and what it means to, Hampton Water. And, John, man, I can't thank you as a fellow kid from Jersey, the humanitarian efforts that you're passing through the Garden State, man. With Soul Kitchen and Soul Foundation. Can you spend a moment talking about that, and then we'll drift into Hampton Water and its association with the World Central Kitchen?
Yeah, sure. Many years ago, some 15 years ago now, I started the foundation under the guise of sports ownership. Once upon a time, I owned an arena football team. And what was going to differentiate us from everybody, the big four in Philadelphia, as we refer to them, baseball, basketball, hockey, was that we were going to be more philanthropic than everybody. And so we were. And one thing led to another. In the first years, we were Robin Hood. Whatever you needed, if we could have provided, we would. One day, homelessness came into focus for me, and we started to build houses. And out of housing came the crash of 2008, the economic downturn. And it was Jesse's mom, my wife, who had said, now we need to feed the people in those houses you've built. And so it was her vision and inspiration to start the Soul Kitchen restaurants. And the idea there was that there are no prices on our menus. You volunteer for your meal if you are in need, and it's empowering. It's giving people a hand up, not a hand out. In our second restaurant, we brought in more service, providing a food pantry, the food bank, a culinary program, all under our roof. Then we went to the university in Rutgers at Newark, because we were very aware of the need for food at college kids and tough times that they were having. In the COVID crises, we also then realized that a food bank was necessary on the eastern end of Long Island, where Hampton Water was born. And so we opened a pilot program out here and are currently feeding some 6,000 people a month out of the food bank. It's all part of what it is that we do, but it led us to even what we're doing now, which is our big promotion for August, is to take $1 of every bottle and give it to Jose Andres, who's not only an inspiration, but a friend, and the World Central Kitchen and the incredible work that they do. Not only are they feeding people, but they're employing people in restaurants to prepare the food to get to the people who are in need. So they're creating jobs and filling that need. And having known Jose as I have, he's an inspiration. So back in March, Jess and I were talking, and I suggested Jose's charity and that we could do something this summer. And it took a little while to get it together, but it is together, it is implemented, and $1 of every bottle nationwide will go to an incredible cause, which is the World Central Kitchen.
That's amazing, man. And Chef Jose Andres is like a saint right now.
Yeah.
When you follow him on Instagram and seeing where he's at, where in the world he's just satisfying needs of individuals, it's truly unbelievable.
Yeah. It's those who do and not just those who talk. You know, he's out there, he's making the paella, he's feeding the people. Much like Dorothea has done at the Soul Kitchens, like we do every week right here at the food bank. You know, I'm there lifting the boxes. You know, there's a reason why I'm there every week for every input and distribution. You got to be.
Has this respite of time? Because listen, I'd be out on the road all summer long, going to shows around the country at our venues. You'd be out touring. Has this respite given you a different outlook with family and paying it forward?
It's something I've always done. Like I said, this foundation was started 15 years ago, so it's been an integral part of my life, and I think it's rubbed off on our kids. My wife and I dedicate an inordinate amount of time to the foundation's work. Granted, the tour was canceled this year and the album was postponed, but we were very busy because the need for food was still there. In fact, it was multiplying.
Yeah. But let's talk about music if we can for a little bit. What's it going to be like that first time back, you on stage conducting a live performance for a sellout crowd?
Well, you know, it's sad that this had to happen this way, but it didn't make me any less creative. In truth, I ended up writing a couple of more songs for the album. I missed that it's now behind us what the dates would have been on the first leg of the tour, so that's a little surreal. And to think that it's really not going to be in 2020, but I think it will be a magic moment when we get to that place where we all feel comfortable in a venue that's jam-packed full of screaming people.
Right, right.
I've been doing it for nearly 40 years, so it's an integral part of who and what I am. But it has to be done in a manner that's going to be safe for everybody, and we can get back to enjoying, you know, the sharing of music, much like sharing a drink. You know, it's right. You got to do it with people.
It's the experience. And Jesse, how about you as a fan of music and that live performance? You ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, we'll see in 15 minutes, there's going to be a bit of a live performance, which will be some fun. But it definitely, it's not quite the same experience, you know, and even out in the Hamptons or on the Jersey Shore, you know, the places that I grew up and going to live music venues and obviously seeing my dad's shows. And he's right, you know, the energy in the room is something that you can't really fake. And so we're excited to bring this to people. We hope everyone kind of tunes in a couple of minutes now. But again, it's something that we wanted to do and something that we wanted to share with people. But yeah, I'm certainly ready to go back to restaurants and have a little fun with friends and things like that.
Yeah, I'm ready as well. And Bongjovi 2020, when you announced it late last year, has a totally different meaning 8 months later, right? I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. I set out to write a topical record, and 2020 lent itself to that. Now you can imagine with albums, you know, you have to turn them in many months in advance. It was slated to come out in May, and both with COVID and then the George Floyd BLM movement, I had to pull the record back, pulled a couple songs, wrote a couple more. Now more than ever, the topical element of the album 2020, it's very clear that I didn't make just a straight ahead pop record about, you know, Moon, June, and Spoon and love stories. This is really about the times in which we're living. And it's interesting that this current single that I'm putting out now with the band, it's called Do What You Can. It is a story line for line of something that you lived and I lived together. I'm not fictionalizing a single line of this lyric. There's no, you know, mythical poetry that just falls out of the sky and the stars and the moon. This is about the world in which we live. And it's resonating that way because people can relate to the subject.
Yeah, I enjoyed it on YouTube because the lyrics are there. You know, back in the day, we used to get the CDs and be able to see the lyrics and enjoy them. Now you got to look at them online. But boy, it resonates so hard. And you've done such a great job of just being raw and open about your privilege and how you can't see what anyone else, you know, feels because you're who you are. You can't replicate or emulate that.
No, each of us individually are in this together. You know, you can't politicize wearing a mask. It's sacrificing for your fellow man. It's really as simple as things like that. But as a writer, I would be remiss if I didn't sit down and capture the moment. That's my job.
Yep. We're going to have some fan questions coming up here shortly. But Jesse, Hampton Water 2.0, is there any thought process as to where the brand's going next? And if you have a moment to talk about the labeling, the Art Deco is stunning. It's a 180 from rock and roll. So I'm curious how that conversation went when you were thinking about that.
Originally, when we designed the label, we had this concept that we wanted to shrink wrap the bottle, and we wanted the diver to be turning water into wine was kind of the concept. And we wanted the top half of the bottle to be white and the bottom half to be clear plastic so that it would look like she was diving into the rosé. And then I went to France and met with the production team and, talked about kind of our design. And we were like, we have this hot idea, whatever. And they kind of looked at us, we're like, no, that's not how it works. So we ended up having to do the paper label, but we kept the diver, and we initially we had the pink wave and, to symbolize her diving into rosé.
Yep.
And then in the last 6 months, we really challenged ourselves to say, we're sort of at this place, we've started to really expand into the entire country. People are starting to really recognize Hampton Water as a brand. They recognize the diver, they recognize the name, but what could we challenge ourselves to do better in order to continue to get eyes on the brand and continue to really grow and expand? And so we really sat down and said, we think the messaging behind the brand of sharing a glass with friends and enjoying beaches and pools, no matter where you are, you're living the Hampton life, and all of that was critically important. But what we really realized was that you look at lots of rosé labels and they're all white and pink. And so when you're walking down the aisle in a grocery store, in a liquor store, in a wine shop, if you don't know a lot about different rosés or different wines in general, most people are just picking up a label and going, I really like that one. And
Yep.
so we really wanted to challenge ourselves to make something that would really jump off the shelf. And I think that we've really done that, and making that blue and that sunset. We always kind of joke and say it could be a sunset or it could be a sunrise. It matters when your party starts. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun changing the label and making the changes that we have. And honestly, we've seen a great reaction to it so far. People are really excited about it. I get to wear less pink, which I think is probably good for everyone.
There you go. Right. The blue is wearing better on you, I'm sure, when you wear that. We're going to take a couple fan questions, if that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Tammy from Wisconsin, what's the biggest challenge of having the Hampton Water business during this time? Won't lie, with quarantine, I've had many bottles of Hampton Water. So what's it like? You're launching a brand, you're a couple years in, and now all of a sudden there's no bars open. Hamptons looks a little bit different. How are you reacting?
Yeah, for us, I mean, it's the whole country at this point. And we were really concerned initially about all of our favorite places that we go and drink and hang out and party, and all of a sudden the bartenders don't have a job, the guy at the front door doesn't have a job. And so that was really our biggest concern, because we knew immediately that if New York was keeping liquor stores open, that part of the business was going to be okay. But that's why we were so excited, I think, to work with World Central Kitchen. And this idea, it took a little while to get going, but we really wanted to find a way that we could give back and that we could help those people in need. And so I think that has really been the biggest challenge, is figuring out exactly how to go into the restaurants when they're closed. How can we help these people out? And so that has really been the most concerning thing, but I think probably one of the more rewarding things we're really excited about being able to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Erica from California, what do you think? You're going to create another wine such as Pinot or Cab, or you're going to stick with the rosé? Thank you for the wonderful wine. Enjoyed many bottles. So you got some big fans out there. So Erica from California, what's next? Or you guys rosé forever, or are you going to contemplate something else?
We've talked about it. It's certainly, we get asked that question quite a bit. For us, when we first started Hampton Water, we first came up with the concept, obviously it was around the idea of rosé. And for us, like my dad said earlier, the wave is still very much happening. And so we've always been really focused on the concept that we wanted to create something that was not only aspirational, and this kind of exciting life of the Hampton life, but something that was also really accessible, and so for me, I'm 25, I walk into a wine shop and there's 10-year-old Pinot Noirs and all these different things. And it's like, I don't know enough about that. You know what I mean? And it can be very intimidating. Yep. And so for us, rosé is something that is easy. It's fun. You know, you don't have to know a ton about wine to go and try different rosés. And for us, it was something that if you're 25 and you walk into a wine shop, you can go and pick up a bottle and know that you're getting something good for something that's a pretty affordable price. So I think probably sticking with
the value is there. Keep it under 25. It'll fly off the shelves. And, you know, you want to sell quantity, not just that rarity. Put it on the shelf. Drink it. Enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Emmanuel from France. So I got some folks there hanging out and watching. Do you think you'll do other collaborations within other regions of France, or you know, based upon the success that you've had thus far?
Again, I think that the opportunities arise, and then we'll discuss them at the time. Right now, I think that there would be opportunity to have different blends of rosé. You know, just so maybe we could play with the bottle some and have a different blend, more of a premium or a mass appeal blend. So there's still a lot of room. And we went from 11 states in year 1 to 22 in year 2. And then in year 3, we were meant to go not only nationwide, but into the big box stores. And of course, COVID sort of messed some of that up. So year 4 will be year 3.5. And so we've got some time and a lot of runway in front of us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when you think about the runway, you know, it is a global world too, right? So it's not just the U.S. Are you out there in other parts of the world, or are you focusing here?
Yeah, we're trying to expand outside of the U.S. as much as we can. Obviously, right now it's difficult, but we get requests all the time from the UK to South America to, you know, all over Europe. And so we're certainly trying our absolute best to everyone watching around the world. We hear you and we're trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying our best because honestly, I think the United States is really just now getting onto the trend, but in Europe, people have been drinking rosé forever. So the opportunity, I think, is really global.
I'm not sure which drink more, rosé or water there, right? I mean, it's got to be like hand in hand, man. It's crazy.
Well, that's how I knew it. You know, I mean, whether I was in the Med in the summer or the Caribbean in the winters, that's how I've become such a rosé fan so many years ago.
Yeah. And Beth from Jersey, the inspiration behind the label, anything particular about the design that you want to share? Or
there's a few things. We think our you can see our diver across the room. You know, that's our Nike swoosh, if you will. But also, whether it's our unique glass top. And so here's our catchphrase, folks. For those of you who don't know, pop the top. It's that simple. Take your thumb, push it up like it's a champagne cork. Pop the top. Folks will sit there and they twist it, roll it, and they think they could put a corkscrew in it, and then they get frustrated and they bite it. Take the meat of your thumbs and pop the top.
Pop the top.
It comes right off. And I hear rumor has it somebody somewhere, I've not met the person yet, doesn't finish an entire bottle of Hampton Water. You can put the cap back on.
Use it again.
Leak proof.
All right.
So, you know, you've all suffered pushing a cork back into a bottle. Push it up, pull it down, pop the top.
Easy. No, it's sexy. It's really cool, man.
Yeah. So there it is.
And there's nothing worse than getting to a beach or on a boat or somebody's pool party and you bring a bottle of rosé and no one has a bottle opener and all of a sudden you're not drinking rosé. Yeah.
Bring that case of rosé. You kidding? Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Natalie from Illinois, will your wine be available in venues one day? Oh, that's a loaded question, man. Oh, geez, right?
Really?
Yes. We got it. No, we'll hook you up. It's absolutely going to be available at Live Nation venues. Next summer amphitheater season, we look forward to pouring it outside at the venues and in the VIP club. So we'll be drinking a lot of Hampton Water next year.
Yeah.
Last one, Carla from Canada. If Hampton Water was a Bongjovi song, wow, which one would it be?
Not Bed of Roses. You know, I do get the odd person to come, man, you missed the mark. It should have been called Bed of Roses Rosé. And you go, that's a genius idea.
Go figure. That's the CEO saying, no, don't get too catchy, you know, don't be too cute.
Oh my goodness.
Right, let's stand alone. All right, we got one more from England. I'm sorry. What was your first concert, Jesse and John? So if you go back in the day, what was that first show you went to that was live?
I have to imagine you. I've seen pictures. I don't remember, but
That's true.
I've seen pictures of me like basically in the back of the bus, you know, getting on
Never on a bus.
on planes and what are they called? The tour kits. Basically, they used to throw me in the back, and I would travel all over when I was this big.
That's true.
There's word of my head being held up for a passport picture. So
That's true too.
I would say that the very first concert I was yay big, and it was his. So
True. Yeah, all our kids were born on the road.
And
For
John,
me,
how about, yeah, first show.
Art, Rush and the Doobie Brothers on one bill at a high school
High school.
in Erie, Pennsylvania, in about 75, 6, whenever they started. They were just breaking then. So Rush, Hart, and the Doobie Brothers at a high school.
That's awesome. And the
Yeah.
fact that, you know, two of the three are touring still and playing live and kicking it, right?
Yeah, right. Hart, Rush, and the Doobie, all Hall of Famers.
Yeah, well, including yourself. And we're about to hear some amazing live music from you on the Hampton Water Facebook page. So go there now. John and Jesse, can't thank you enough for hanging out with us for this happy hour. John, go kick it on the Hampton Water Facebook page. We look forward to seeing you live here soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Be well.
see you later.
We're going to keep the happy hour going with an intimate live performance by Bongjovi. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.